Thank you. Thank you, Sudesh. Okay, so everyone, I hope you have gone through the syllabus. What exactly we are going to cover? Am I correct? Everyone? Yes, no?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So, do you want me to repeat the syllabus or certification part? I hope you have gone through the demo video which we have conducted few days back.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Cool. So, what exactly we are going to do now? Okay, so daily we have a 2 hour sessions. Okay, Monday to Thursday. So in that 2 hour sessions, I'm going to explain you about the a different the cloud versions. I mean to say the different AWS services. So you can see. Let me share my screen. Okay. I hope you are able to. My voice is crystal clear, and you're able to see my screen. Everything is fine before we start.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay,
clear.
awesome. So now here you can see. So as I said in my previous session as well, this AWS, right? It's not a kind of technology, it's a product. We are here to learn the product. So don't worry about it. Okay, so as you know that we can learn any product. Okay, no matter what exactly this technical. For an example, okay, as we discussed earlier, Instagram or any LinkedIn or any social networking, website. What exactly it is, that's the product. On the first day, we feel that okay, what exactly it is, what feature is that? You don't know anything, but now you are using those no social networking product from last 2 3 years or more than that, and now you are used to it. And in case if they update their self or upgrade their self, you can digest easily. Because why? Because you already makes your hand dirty on that specific product. So remember, in AWS you cannot buy the time, you need to spend the time. So you need to spend a lot of time on the AWS because it's a completely huge, right? And I'm sharing you everything on the practically. You can say it's a completely practical oriented session. So I can say it's more than 80 90% of practical and the rest of the theory. So here, mostly I'm using these product, right? That AWS console, which you can see on the screen, and whiteboard. That's the main criteria. So only for the few session, first I'm going to use PPT and rest of the completely practical scenario session only. Now, here, as you can see that. So how exactly you can perform the practice, okay, or you can perform the lab at your end. I'll share some documentations as well whenever we cover a specific topics. And now here, what you need to do is you need to create AWS free tier account, which is a completely 1 year free. So it just required a debit card or the credit card, which deduct the $1 okay from the account. And now why exactly the $1? Because it required authentication, right? Whether you are a genuine user or not. So it's just a small process that you need to follow. And once you follow it, you can create an AWS account. So everyone, anyone, do you have an AWS account right now? Anyone? Yes, no? You can type it if you have.
No,
No.
No?
No.
no.
Okay, great. No problem. So we are going to also create an AWS account. So what exactly I'm expecting? So first, I'm explaining you what exactly the feature, what exactly the benefit, what exactly the advantage of that specific services. And then I'll explain you why we require that service, what kind of the problem it is going to resolve if you use that services. And then I'll show you demo and everything. And I expect that you can perform the same thing on the session itself, on the class itself. Now, the reason to perform this, the same thing on the class is because that, okay, you will get hands-on and so that you have an entire full day to perform the practice so that in next day you can come with the questions and, whatever the question that you have so that we can resolve it. So that way, okay, we are going ahead. So now this is a completely the cloud, right? So this is a completely cloud product like an AWS, Azure, GCP, and then Oracle. Now, why exactly this AWS is more famous or more popular? Now, the reason is that it's born into the cloud, right? Other product like the adaptive cloud. For example, just now someone said that they are working on the Azure. So currently Azure hold a second number position. Now the reason is that in Azure or the Microsoft, they have a good customer, right? They have a very large customer, and it is very easy for them to migrate from the on-premises to the cloud. And obviously, they also have their own unique USP. So each product, they have a different USP as well. So for example, GCP. In GCP, there are some product or the services which is very good in the AI. AWS overall, okay, everything is good. Pricing also matter. And the company, they are also sometimes they are using the AWS as well. They are using the Azure. They are also using the GCP. They're also using a different product. So I can say the AWS is a base product for entire cloud. If you learn AWS, it is very easy to understand other product as well because the concept is same here. Okay, for example, virtualization. We are going to launch a virtual machine in the cloud. So the concept is same. Only thing is that UI is different. So I'll explain everything. Don't worry about it. And you know, so my job role, right? So my job role is also okay, provide or implement these kind of the different services, where it is the virtualization, whether it is the networking, whether it is the container part, CI/CD pipeline, different tools. So we're also going to learn each and everything, okay, in the cloud engineer. Now, once you clear these, complete these syllabus. And so this says cloud engineer. So I can add on that it's not about only cloud engineer. You can also go with the cloud administrator as well, right? Where you can also manage the entire environment. Then no any implementation engineer, right, where they need to deploy a different services into the client accounts. And there is also a term called FinOps. Have you heard about FinOps? FINOPS? Anyone? FinOps kind of thing.
No.
No.
Other folks?
No.
Finance operations.
Okay. So now, folks, now this cloud, right? So this is a cloud product. So this is what this is a variable cost to the company, right? So now what happened? Now there is a new term called FinOps, financial operational. So it's not a non-technical role. It's a completely pure technical role. Now in that role, what happened exactly? You need to save the cost to the company. It means what? Now let's say there is a project and they say that, okay, I need these kind of ABC resources. So in that, you need to save the cost here. How? That you can convince the people that, okay, whatever that you have, all right? And if you use that higher or lower resources, then we can save the cost and you will get work done as well. So it means saving the cost because you must have a proper justification that why would you can use or you suggest a different services instead of ABC services, you suggest BCD services. You have a clear technical discussions. So you will also get the target from the organization where they say that, okay, you need to save the $200 per month or let's say $1,000 per year. So that's the cost that you need to save. I'm also going to explain that, okay, what exactly the cost is associated. Because as I say that this entire cloud product is pay as you go services. How exact, so once you use the services, you need to pay the charges accordingly. So now let's get started, right? So so they say that here you don't require any technical details to understand this product. Okay, so your mindset should be it's a just an product and we are into the product learning. I'm going to explain you how exactly you can handle the product. And I'm also going to explain you that how exactly you utilize this product. So, if you are from the non-technical background, don't worry about it. Okay, we will clear everything. So I'm giving you all the information from the scratch as well. So there are some services where you require little bit information about what exactly the networking part, what exactly the IP address and all. So don't worry, I'm also going to teach that as well. I'm also going to share few documents before the session so that you can read it, you have a brush up all the knowledge, and then you can come with the class. So here you don't need any heavy technical knowledge. It's very good product. Okay. So let's get started here. I just need a 1 second. I'm just going to share my deck and then we'll start exactly. In case if you have a doubt, any concern, you can always interrupt me and you can ask the question. So I request everyone that please ask the question. You don't need to, wait that okay when exactly Q&A start. So whenever you have a doubt, anything in your mind, or let's suppose I'm explaining something and you don't understand anything, you can type or you can interrupt me anytime and you can ask the question. So I'm expecting it's not only one way, it should be a two-way. Okay, it should be a discussion. So if it is discussion happen, then everyone learn a lot of things from the sessions. Okay, so now folks, a, a very, very, very basic question, okay, to everyone. What do you think? What is a cloud for you? Any technical or non-technical? Okay, so what do you think that what exactly the cloud is? What do you think, everyone? What do you think? What exactly the cloud?
Storage to store
Okay,
data.
okay,
Yeah, it is storage, compute
mm-hmm,
resources, then
mm-hmm,
the underlying infrastructure. So
mm-hmm.
when you are able to ask on demand with a paper basis.
Okay. Any other things? So someone say that. Sorry?
Yeah,
Okay. Any other folks? What do you think? What is a cloud for you? A very general answer. What do you think? What is a cloud for you? Any technical, non-technical answer.
Remote infrastructure.
Remote
Okay.
infrastructure that's not on-prem and owned by, in this case, Amazon.
Okay. Awesome. Any other thing?
Where you can access applications virtually from
Okay.
any location or like I would say all over the world.
Okay.
And I believe
Intangible,
sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
intangible storage,
Okay.
Scalability.
Okay. Scalability. Okay.
Remote storage space.
Remote storage space. Okay.
I believe secured um,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
access to your
Okay.
applications.
Okay.
It manages the IT resources.
Okay.
and one thing, it is kind of the virtualized resources we can access through some kind of the web portal. So
Okay.
on per pay basis, it
Okay.
can be scale in or scale out depending on the your uses. At the same time, these resources can be combined like a private or public or hybrid or whatever, depending
Mm-hmm.
upon the security concerns or something like that.
Okay. Very good. So it means what? Anything which you can access over the intranet or internet is nothing but a cloud.
That's
What
right.
do you think? Am I correct? Am I correct, everyone? You just
Yeah,
said about
that's
the storage, you are just aware about a different application. It means what? Anything which you can access over the intranet or internet. So intranet, it means your, your local area network. For an example, let's say you're working on your organization, and let's say you have some portal which is only accessible for your network. So that is also cloud, right? Because you're accessing locally and it's somewhere in the store, some in on system. Internet, right? You're downloading something, right? You are storage the file, right? Accessing the virtualizations, everything. It means what? Anything which you can access is over the internet is nothing but a cloud. Now let me, okay, ask you again another one question. Now, let's for an example, okay, my drawing is bad, okay, but I try my best. So let's say this is your Uber, okay, this is your Uber taxi company. And now let me give me a second. Now let's suppose this is an Uber, and now let's say this is your personal car. Okay, this is your personal car. Now, what do you think? What benefits you will get if you are using Uber instead of your personal car?
I pay only for what I use.
Exactly. It's an pay as you go services. It means here you don't need to buy the car, entire car, but here you need to spend a lot of money to purchase the car. It's a completely pay as you go services, right? So the first answer, it's a pay as you go services.
I
So
don't
let's
need
say you,
license.
Mhm. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't need a license of my own.
Okay. Okay. Because obviously you are not driving the car,
Yeah. And
correct?
also the I don't need to pay the upfront and anything for to purchase the car as well.
Yeah,
Just
that's an pay as you
rent.
go services. Whatever you use, whatever you consume, you just need to pay the charges accordingly.
And
Correct, Nikit?
another point, there is no maintenance. It is already
Exactly.
taken care by the service provider.
Exactly. So there is a no maintenance here. But here we are responsible for all the maintenance. So there are two type of maintenance, right? One is your yearly maintenance, or some 5,000 miles. Okay, after that you need to book your service. Or let's say there is also ongoing maintenance as well. So when I say ongoing maintenance, it means what? You're going somewhere and your car got puncture, right? Or something, some issue with your headlights or anything. So obviously, Uber driver never asks you that, okay, pay me the 50 bucks more. The reason is that, okay, while traveling with you, my car got puncture. No, that is their responsibility. So maintenance is a completely their responsibility. You are absolutely correct.
And one more point, then the quality of service and the SLA agreements are already taken by the provider, right?
Okay, correct. Then,
Then other things like whatever the whenever resources we work in the depending on the lot, if we want to scale in, scale out, then what I mean to say, like the um, if something failover happens, the duplicate, or what I can say, reliability, all the quality of service factor other than the scale out, it is also taken by the service provider.
okay, we are talking about just Uber and our personal car.
Oh, sorry for that. Actually, okay, I
No,
just
no, no problem, no problem. It's just I just asking you the benefits. What benefits you will get if you are using Uber instead of your personal car? So just now you said that it's a pay as you go services.
yeah. Only thing is, I
Then
can just sit and enjoy the drive, just looking
exactly.
the crowd. But all the things, the only the point where I need to drop, they will do it. I just enjoy the service.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Correct. So
Right.
you don't need to drive the car.
I need
That
not
is,
to.
yeah, correct.
So maybe
also there
your
is a different
ongoing cost
kind of
insurance.
services like UberX. You have an option to choose the
Yes,
service,
Prashant.
like for
Sorry,
example,
sorry. Can you repeat? Sorry, my bad. I can't hear you clearly. Can you repeat it for again?
Yeah, sure. You kind of have options to choose the service, such as like there's the Uber, as you talk about the Uber, there's different options like UberX. You can go as per your budget, and then you can change or choose the options
Exactly.
UberX or Uber, like I would say, like sedan or whatever it is, you know?
Exactly. So it means what? Whenever, okay, whenever you want, you can upgrade the service, and whenever you want, you can degrade the service as well. Am I correct? For an example, today you're traveling alone. So you don't need, luxury car, or you don't need any sedan car. You can book a small car as well. Let's say you can book the hatchback car as well. But now let's suppose you're traveling with 4 or 5 members, right? Where obviously the micra or mini car is not, fulfill our requirement. So we can book the higher version of the car. It means whenever we want upgradation or whenever we want degradation, because Uber never asks you that, okay, yesterday you used the Uber X services, and now you will have to use the X services only. No, you can degrade it anytime. So upgradation and degradations
என்ன
is very, very easy.
நாங்க இதுல இருக்கேன் நான் வரேன்.
Can you mute yourself? Yep. Any other? So just now you
You
said
save
that,
on sorry.
yeah, sorry,
You
Siddharth, go
save
ahead.
on your ongoing costs like fuel and insurance.
Yeah, that is in a pay as you go completely. Correct? Because here everything we need to pay it in your personal car, whether it's just an pay as you go services. It means what the insurance and everything that is taken care by the Uber, here we need to do that. Right? So pay as you go services, maintenance, and obviously the parking. Am I correct? Parking space. It means what? Whenever we say that parking, it means we also worried about the security, right? I mean to say physical security. That is also taken care by the Uber, and here in personal car we are solely responsible.
Yeah.
So now why I'm saying this information, okay, in middle of the cloud, because you can think that this Uber is nothing but our cloud solution. Okay, whether it is AWS, whether it is Azure, whether it is GCP or anything. Your personal car is nothing but your on-premises environment. Correct? You will get similar benefits. For an example, as you say that cloud it means what? It's a completely pay as you go services. It means today, okay, so for an example, if you install the application, right? So if you install the application on your mobile, there is a no any cost. You will get update, you will get upgrade of the application free. But the moment, right? The moment you But the moment, okay, you start using the services, then you need to pay the charges according to the services. So it's a completely pay as you go model. Then maintenance. So obviously in your on premises, you have a lot of maintenance as well. For an example, here there is this networking equipment or the hard disk equipment or hard disk. Okay, so your on-premises servers, everything. You also need some time for the maintenance of your hardware where you require a downtime. But in the cloud, you don't need to worry about any maintenance part. That is taken care by the completely the cloud product, right? Then obviously here you can also save a lot of cost as well. How? Because if you're using this cloud, obviously the maintenance part is taken care by the cloud. But in on-premises, you need to invest a lot of other costs as well. For an example, you also need to invest the cost on some tools, right? Then your application licensing. Then you also need to invest some amount on your parking. I mean to say some area. You need a cooling system. You need the electricity. You also need a person who can manage those environment physically. In cloud, you don't require anything. You just need one laptop and internet connection. That's it. And you can manage the entire environment here. right? So you can treat this cloud product as your Uber services, same benefits you will get, right? So what exactly the technical information, right? So what exactly this cloud computing? So as I said, then this cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of a compute, power, database, storage, application, and all other IT resources, and that is via internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. And these resources run on a server computer that are located in a large data center in a different location around the world. So whenever you use a cloud service provider like an AWS, that service provider own the computers that you are using. So these resources can be used together like a building blocks that help you to meet your business goal and satisfy the technology requirement. For an example, okay, sorry. So for example, what I'm trying to say is here, now let's suppose, okay, you have your laptop. Okay, let's suppose you have your laptop. And now in that laptop, you hosted, let's suppose mysongs.com. Okay. And here you have more than, okay, 1,000, 10,000 plus songs. Okay. And now people, okay, they just, okay, open the your mysongs.com from your mobile, from their laptop, right? And they can enjoy the songs, and simultaneously they can also download the songs. Now for them, okay, they are downloading the songs from the cloud, but actually the website is hosted on your laptop, right? So here the 10,000 songs it's stored on your laptop, right? But for user, it is a completely accessing the cloud, right? So that's the reason I'll say that in the AWS or in any cloud provider like an AWS, service provider own the computers that you are using. So whenever we are accessing some services, actually we are communicating to that specific services. So same thing here, right? Why the main cloud computing is more famous? Because as you can see that, let's suppose today, okay, there is 100 user is downloading the songs. You're okay, your hardware is supported. But now let's suppose your website is famous. And now this number is changed to like this. What happened? There are so many requests coming from the internet to access your machine, and your server is crash, right? So you need some additional compute capacity to manage the load. So that's where the cloud computing comes in the pictures, where you get your storages, you get your databases, you get your application or any other IT resources, and that is via internet. It just an pay as you go pricing. So folks, here, the cloud computing enable you to stop thinking of your infrastructure as a hardware, and you can think instead of your own software. For an example, what exactly I'm trying to say is, so now let's suppose, okay, let's suppose you are the owner of one of the e-commerce platform. Now what happened? Your website is on entire on-premises server where you have these kind of the server racks, and you have a multiple storage, compute and everything. Everything is on-premises. Now your website is running fine completely, right? Entire year your website is working fine, and now you think that okay, holiday is coming. Okay, let's conduct the big billion day, or let's suppose Black Friday, where you offer more than 20-30% of discount on your product. And now what happened? Suddenly there is a 100x load. Why? Because earlier your entire website is working fine. Okay, they are managing the load, but now the load is more than 100x. So what happened with that website? That website may be slow down, or maybe your server crash. Because why? Because your on-premises server is not that much compatible to handle the load or request. and the result is crash. So now in that case, what exactly the solution? You want to conduct the big billion day because you found that okay, there is a very good response okay of the big billion day, because why? People love the different product and they want to purchase from the website, but unfortunately your on-premises server is not that much compatible to manage the load. So you may thought that okay, what we can do, we can yes, I'm audible. Yeah, Nitya, can you please mute yourself? Yep. So now what happened is that, okay, you may thought that, okay, what we can do is we can purchase the same additional hardware here, right? But now folks, what happened if you purchase additional hardware? So remember, as I say that your on-premises server is enough capable to handle a request on the other dates. You require only additional compute capacity only when there is a big billion day or let's say Black Friday. And now what happened exactly if you purchase a new additional hardware, then resource utilization. You hardly use okay 2 or 5% of the server. Why? Because you required only when there is a big billion day, or let's suppose any holiday sale or something. It means rest of the 365 days my server is sitting ideal, right? And I cannot prove my ROI, return on investment, because I'm investing huge amount on the server racks, everything. At the same time, I also need to invest the cost on my electricity, cooling system, person who's going to manage the hardware. A lot of cost is involved. And the entire year, my these on-premises server is enough capable. Then why should I invest huge amount of money in this server racks on premises? So here the cloud comes to the picture. What you can do is only for 2 or 3 days, what you can do, you can you can go with the service provider like in cloud, like in AWS, the GCP or anywhere. You can rent out the server. You can deploy everything. Like for an example, you can deploy the payment gateway. You can deploy your website content, right? And everything, right? That you can deploy on your on your the cloud computing. You can use load balancer to manage the traffic. And now whenever any next big billion day or Black Friday, what happen is that 20 or 30% traffic managed by your on-premises server, and rest of the traffic is managed by your cloud provider. In case there is a 200x load, so the cloud is enough capable to manage the request. Make sense, everyone? Why we are using the cloud? Because first thing is that I want to clear why, and then we can start our main actual syllabus. Make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
What about other folks? Only 2, 3. You can give me a thumbs up or anything, or if you have any question, you can type or you can speak. Prashant, Ramya, Samir, Siddharth, Shweta, Obiora, Nitya, Mohammed. Make sense, everyone?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
So now, folks, here what happened, right? So your traditional computing, I just explained that, right? So in the traditional computing model, infrastructure though of the hardware, it means hardware solutions like your physical, which means they require space, staff, physical security, planning, capital expenditure as well. And in addition to significant upfront investment, another prohibited aspect of your traditional computing is the long hardware procurement cycles that also involve acquiring, provisioning, maintaining on-premises infrastructure. So with the hardware solution, you must ask if there is enough resources, capacity, or sufficient storage to meet your needs, and your provision capacity by guessing theoretical maximum peaks. And if you don't meet your projected maximum peak, then you pay for expensive resource which that stay ideal. And if you exceed your project's maximum peak, then you don't have sufficient capacity to meet your needs. And if your need change, then you must spend the time, effort, money required to implement that solutions, right? But the cloud computing, it's a completely the contrast. So cloud computing enable you to think of your infrastructure as a software. Software solution are flexible. You can select the cloud services that best match you with your needs. You can provision, terminate those resources on demand and pay for what you use. For an example, let's say you are working on premises environment. And now let's suppose you are working on the QA, that is quality analysis. Now what happened? You want to test some application, and to check that or to test that application, let's suppose you required the 2.4 gigahertz processor, and now let's suppose you required 8 GB of DRAM. Okay, so let's suppose you required the 2.4 gigahertz processor and you required 8 GB of RAM and you also required 40 GB of hard disk. And now let's suppose you required Linux for that. Now you're working on on-premises service, or sorry, on-premises environment. You go to your network admin, say that, hey, I want to test application. And for that I require these kind of the hardware and operating system. So the network admin has to manage these hardware. So as I said that, what happened? They need to go to the long procurement cycles and everything. And now here you will get your these kind of the hardwares to within a 1 day, 2, 3, or 5 days, depend on your organization. So now let's suppose you got your hardware, you test the applications and everything. And after 2, 3 days, okay, you again go to the networking administrator and say that, hey, I tested my application on Linux environment with 8 GB RAM, which is working fine. But there are some customer of mine who is also using the 2 GB RAM, let's say example. I also want to test my application on the 2 GB RAM as well. Now here what happened? You need to degrade the hardware. You already purchased the RAM and now again you will have to degrade the hardware. It means there is also again another cost comes in the picture. So even though if you degrade the hardware, then there is no changes in a cost, right? But by contrast, you can go with the cloud. If you provide a requirement within a 2 or 3 minutes, you can launch your resources over the internet and you can access that virtual machine within a few minutes. And let's suppose if you want to degrade it, you can also degrade the hardware within a few minutes or few clicks. And obviously there is a change in a cost. Why? Because as I said that this cloud computing model, it's a completely pay as you go services. It means what? If you reduce your hardware, then there is also less cost involved. So in that case, after 15 days, you just need to pay for the 2.4 gigahertz, 8 GB of RAM, 40 GB of hard disk, Linux. And after that, once you change your hard grade, again, there is a save in the cost. So in that a way, okay, the cloud computing is very, very easy. So compared to hardware solution, these software solution can change much more quickly, easily, and also cost effectively. So as cloud computing has grows their popularity, there is a several different services, model, and some deployment strategies have emerged to help meet the specific need of a different user. And each type of cloud services model and deployment strategy provide you with a different level of control, flexibility, and management as well. So understand, okay, the difference between these cloud service model and deployment strategies can also help you to decide what set of services is right for your need. Okay, So before we start, okay, to the next topic, do you need a 10 minutes break? Because my habit is to give a break in 1 hour.
Sorry for that. I have one question here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
For example, I ran for one virtual machine for Windows or Linux of any two CPU or some size. So in that VM, I want to install Postgres database and some other software. So I need to pay money for that particular software, or how, I mean, additional configurations or additional software installation stuff, it works on the cloud.
Yep. So see, as I say that earlier, it's like on building blocks. So one of the services called EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, what happen is that they will provide you the infrastructure. I'll come to that topic. Now, there are some services which you can use like a BYOL scenario. When I say BYOL, it means bring your own licenses, right? But let's say if you deploy your some specific application which require your licensing
Mhm,
part, then you can go ahead with that
mhm,
those licensing.
mhm,
So it's a completely hybrid. Either you can use your own licensing or you can purchase separate licensing. There is also another part where you can deploy a different product on your machines through the
mhm,
AWS. I can
mhm,
say I'm coming on that topics later on, but just to give an answer. So there is also marketplace available from the AWS from where you can also purchase a third party application
okay.
with some additional cost.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, thank you. You are right. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, everyone.
Sorry,
Before we start the next, do you have any question or can we move to the break?
sorry, just to
Because
manage the time, I would just like to ask how long is the session going to be?
it's 2 hour daily.
Okay,
Monday to
thank you.
Thursday. Monday to Thursday,
Oh,
2 hours.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday?
It's in Monday to Thursday, EST.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right, I was going to ask, is the class is going to start like today now, 7 to 9? How many days?
So total syllabus is I required at least 70 hours.
70 hours.
Yeah,
So,
60 to 70 hours.
wow, for the full learning of cloud computing.
Exactly. You will get a lot
Does it
of
have
things, lot of services.
practicals to learn?
Sorry?
Are you going to put practical exam like,
Yes.
okay.
As I say that 70-80% of the practical, only 20% theory. So I'm using the PPT only for the few days and the rest of the thing, whiteboarding and practical scenario only. Because as I said here, you need to make your hand dirty. It's a product. We are into the product running.
Okay. So this one now will be 20% of theory, 80% of practical applications.
Exactly. So I'll
Okay.
ask you to create an account because AWS provide you a 1 year free trial licenses where we can, go ahead and we can perform the practicals.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
Abiora, it is a 8 to 9
So I
week training.
was going to ask, right? Now, how many days are we
Yes.
going to do this? Is this boot camp just today?
Yes, it
Sorry.
started only today.
Only for today. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. What about Python?
It's a cloud. So Python, we have a different session.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Any other question, folks?
sorry,
Yes,
we don't
Sudhish, go ahead.
have anything scheduled for tomorrow?
Yeah, we have a regular session
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So only for this week, we are looking at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because we started on Tuesday. But starting next week, it's going to be starting Monday to Thursday, evening 8 p.m. EST, 2 hours every day.
And sorry, one more thing. At the end of this course, will we be ready to appear for the certification exams, or is it something
Exactly.
we
Yes.
still need to do on our own?
No. So obviously there is some study required. All right. For that documentations and everything we will provide you. Everything we will provide. Don't worry about it. So at the moment, whenever you start learning on the product, you don't need to think about any certification exam. That we can discuss, at the end of the syllabus, where I'll explain you that, okay, how exactly you can prepare for the exam, which exam you can prepare and everything that I'll explain. Don't worry.
So this course covers the associate level. Am I correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other question, folks? Are we good to go for the break? Only for the 10 minutes? What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah, yes, we can go in.
Yeah, let's go for the break.
Yep, sure. So let's take a 10 minutes break only, and then we'll come back in 10 minutes. So timer is enabled shortly on your screen. Thank you, folks. Let's take a quick break, 10 minutes, and then come back. Thank you, everyone. Hello everyone, I'm back. Hello everyone, I'm back now. Are you there?
Hi. Yeah, hi.
What about other folks?
Hi.
Yep. Do
Yeah.
you sorry, Amaya, do you see the thumbs up and all that stuff when we do
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
do it?
yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's get started. So now folks, here, we just understand that what exactly the cloud. We also understand if I use the cloud, what benefits I'll get. Now let's understand that there are also, okay, there are three main cloud service model. So there is a cloud service model and there is a cloud deployment model as well. So now in the service model, each model represent a different part of the cloud computing stack. And it also give you a different level of control over your IT resources. So for an example, the first one here, you can see the infrastructure as a services. Now what exactly it means, for an example, let's say you purchase some apartments, right? So now what happened, the builder who built that specific site, they build a specific block, a building blocks. And once you got the possession, what happened? You can change internally as per your own requirement. Whether you want to deploy or whether you want a TV unit or sofas or let's say you want to have some furnitures inside it, you can do it once the infrastructure you have in your hand. Now, same thing in the infrastructure as a service. So service in this category are a basic building block for a cloud IT and typically provide you with the access to networking feature, compute, let's say virtual or dedicated hardware, and the data storage. So this infrastructure as a service provide you with the highest level of flexibility and management control your IT resources. And it is a most similar to existing IC resources, okay, that many IT department and developer are currently familiar with today. For an example, you will get a virtual machine, and that virtual machine you can use to deploy the application. You can use that virtual machine to create your Active Directory. You can use this virtual machine for the web server. So it's just like your system computer, right? That you can use it. So that is the infrastructure as a services. Now, when I say platform as a services, so platform as a service, it means what? You don't need to worry about any underlying infrastructure. So service in this category reduce the need for you to manage the underlying infrastructure, usually your hardware and operating system. And so that it enable you to focus on the deployment and management your application. So for an example, what exactly I'm trying to say is, let's suppose you're managing the on-premises environment, right? And now what happened exactly that someone comes to you and say that, hey, I want my SQL, let's say I want to MySQL database. So make sure you install it, you create it, everything, make sure you create the high availability backups and everything, and you can provide with me. That is your responsibility. So now what happens is that first, okay, you need to create your hardware. Whatever the hardware that you have, you can create it. Hard disk, RAM and everything. And then on top of that, you all install the OS. And once you install the OS, you also need to take the update, a different your update, OS update. And after that, you install the SQL, MySQL application. And obviously, once you install it, you also need to update the applications, patchings and everything. Then you configure your backup. Okay, whatever the backup you required. Okay, what will happen if the database crash? You must have a backup and everything. Then you configure your high availability, right, and everything. And then, okay, for configuration part, okay, you can provide it to your customer. All right. It means these are the entire your own responsibility. But if you are using platform as a services, okay, for an example, in AWS, there is a relational database services. So if you are using the RDS, then this is the entire AWS RDS responsibility. You just need to configure, okay, the MySQL, that's it. So that's the reason I'll say that, okay, hardware AWS provide, OS AWS provide, okay, update of the OS, okay, then application installation, application update, then backups and everything is provided by your, okay, the RDS, and you just need to configure only. That's the platform as a services where you don't need to manage any underlying infrastructure. And then, okay, you also have, okay, software as a services,
Sorry,
right?
Amina.
Yeah.
What do you mean by RDS again?
Relational database services,
Thank you.
like your structure information, structure databases like MySQL, Aurora, Microsoft SQL, like this. Okay. Then the next one here, you have a software as a services. Now service in this category provide you with the complete product that service provider run and manage. So I hope you use this software as a service daily. Can you tell me any example? Anyone? Can anyone provide me any example you use daily? Anyone?
Social platforms.
Software as a, what is the example of software as a services?
Gmail.
Exactly, right? What exactly the Gmail? Now Gmail, it means what? That is a free web-based application, right? So when I say software as a service, refer to end user application. So you do not have to think about how the service is maintained or how the underlying infrastructure is managed. You need to think only about how you plan to use that particular piece of software, right? So in Gmail, okay, where you can send and receive email without managing feature addition to the email product or maintaining the server and operating system that email program run on. So in AWS also, there are many products which is also related to the software as a services. Any question here, folks, before I move to the next slide? Any question? If it is all clear, just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, I want to know this infrastructure as a service. What's the example of the software they use for infrastructure as a service?
So I just say EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, virtualization, where you will get your operating system, and now on that operating system, you can deploy anything like your web server, your application server, content server, anything that you can use it. It's like your normal server.
So like
Infrastructure,
Facebook,
they
like
will
Facebook.
provide you. Sorry.
The example of infrastructure as a service, is it like Facebook?
No, Facebook is not done. Facebook is a application as a services where you will get an application completely.
Okay.
Yeah. Infrastructure, it means what? They will provide you the hardware, they will provide you the operating system, and then you can do that. For an example, storage, right? So they will provide you the storage and then you can upload the storage file only.
Okay, okay. So that one will be managed by a third-party contractor.
Yeah, in our case, it's an AWS, correct.
Sorry?
In our case, it's an AWS.
AWS.
AWS, Amazon Web Services.
Okay, Amazon. Okay, yeah. Okay, Amazon Web Services. Okay.
Okay.
Then as platform, I understand the one of software. That one is the example of our Gmail. Platform, an example of platform as a service.
That is a database which you can access over the internet, where you don't need to install the database, where you don't need to install the operating system. You just need to start using the database directly. For an example, MySQL, PostgreSQL, like this.
Okay, like SQL. Okay, those
Correct.
those apps that are downloaded.
Correct.
Right? Am I right?
Correct. So you don't need to patch, manage anything. You can directly start using the SQL directly, SQL.
Okay.
And rest of the thing, that is management, updates, backups, that is taken care by the Amazon Web Services. Okay. Now here, okay, now let's understand the deployment model. So there are three main cloud deployment model, which also represent the cloud environment that your application can be deployed in. Now the first one here you can see about the cloud. So whenever say, okay, we have a cloud deployment model. Now a cloud-based application is a fully deployed in the cloud, and all the part of the application run in the cloud. So application in the cloud have either been created in the cloud or have been migrated from existing infrastructure to take advantage of cloud computing. So this cloud-based application can be built on a low-level infrastructure, or they can also use higher level of service that provide abstractions from the management, architecting, and scaling requirement of your core infrastructure. So everything is on the cloud, all the piece of your software application, everything run in the cloud. We called it's a cloud deployment model. And when we talk about hybrid, right? So just now I gave your example, hybrid. What is the hybrid example? So just now I'll say about your e-commerce website. So on your e-commerce website, because of the big billion day, 20-30% of your traffic is managed by your on-premises, and the rest of the traffic is managed by your cloud. So in this case, you are also using the hardware. You are also, I mean to say, on-premises, and you are also using the cloud service as well. So it is called the hybrid. So hybrid deployment is a way to connect the infrastructure and application between the cloud-based resources and existing resources that are not located in the cloud. So now the most common method of hybrid deployment is between the cloud and existing on-premises infrastructure. So this model also enable the organization to extend the grow for their infrastructure into the cloud while they are also connecting cloud resources to internal system. For an example, as I just said, your e-commerce website, or let's suppose you're working in the, let's say, some insurance sector, or let's suppose you're working in some, medical sector. Now in the medical sector, what happened? There is a, let's say, some scanner, some body scanner, anything. Now there are devices and application has to on the on-premises because they want to monitor a real-time data. But for other, they are using the cloud. That is also a part of your hybrid. And then the another concept is on-premises. Now let's suppose, okay, you're the owner of one of the application. Let's say it's a CRM application, customer repository management, for an example. And you're selling this application to let's say, call center, where, okay, it's a completely on the cloud. Okay, your application on the cloud. So user just need to open, let's say, mycrm.com. They just need to provide their username and password, and they start getting the calls from their customer. Now, what happened here? Once they receive a call, okay, they want to save some information about the customer, and simultaneously they also want to record this call, and they are going to save on the server about the mycrm.com. Now let's suppose one bank come to you, and let's say the bank say that, okay, I really like this CRM. Okay, our banking customer also, okay, required the same CRM application. But the problem is that we cannot use the www.mycrm.com. Now the reason is that as I'm the bank, so my compliances, different set of rules, is not allowing me to use any application which is communicate over the internet. I cannot store my customer information on your server, because why? It's a completely online application, right? So my compliance will not allow me to store any application or any content data on the, okay, your server here. But I want your application. So what you can do, bank say that, okay, what you can do, I'll provide you the server, I'll provide you the racks, also provide you the storage capacity and everything. What you can do, you can deploy your application, mycrm.com, you can deploy on my on-premises server. So I'll fulfill your requirement. You just need to store all the, okay, or you need to deploy all your application on my server. And once they are agree, what happen is that for their banking customer, they just access the application locally. For an example, 192.168.1.1 on the browser, they just need to provide your username and password, and they start getting the calls. And whatever the call recording and everything, that is stored on their on-premises server, right? They cannot access the same application outside of the bank. So they deploy resources on premises using virtualization and resource management tool. It's called private cloud. So while the on-premises deployment does not provide many of the benefit of the cloud computing, it's sometimes, okay, it's a completely, I say, a dedicated resources. So in the most of the cases, this deployment model is the same as your legacy IT infrastructure, but it might also use application management and virtualization technologies to increase resource utilization. So this on-premises cloud is also called PCP. It means private cloud platform, right? So we just understand about cloud service model, service deployment model, and the, the cloud deployment model. So mainly here, right, you can see we are going to learn all these tools in upcoming section and more than that. So this is just an example, a difference between your AWS and your traditional IT, right? So if you talk about in traditional on-premises environment, you have a firewall, you have access control list or administrator users. But in AWS, we are using security groups, network SCLs, access control lists, identity and access management, from where you can create user group policies and everything. Because obviously, as I said, this is a cloud product. So you are not the only one who's going to access the AWS. There are so many users, okay, who required some granular permission. For an example, I'm working only on the databases, so I don't require any other service to access. I want only access the database services. So how exactly you can configure that? So in that, you can configure your you can configure your IAM. Then for the networking, you have a router, physical router, you have different pipelines, you have a switch. But in AWS, we called it is an elastic load balancing. where you can create application load balancer, you can create network load balancer, or even though you can also create gateway load balancer. So what exactly those load balancer we will also learn in upcoming topics. And to create a networking environment, we are using AWS Virtual Private Cloud, VPC. So in our on-premises, we have a server, different type of server. But in AWS environment, we have a Amazon machine image. We have elastic compute instances, virtualization. So that also I'm going to explain here. For the storage, we have the DAS, direct attached storage, storage area network, network attached storage, relational database management system. But in our case, in AWS, we are going to learn about elastic block storages, elastic file storages, Amazon simple storages, and relational database storages as a RDBMS, that is relational database management system. So I'll also show you what exactly it is. I'll also explain the one by one. At the moment, we are on the just want to open one page of the book only. Any question, folks? Any question here?
No.
No.
Yeah. So that means that this processes now you give to us now in terms of the security and that's
Go
the
ahead.
process for AWS as
Mhm.
against the other applications. So that means we have to get a knowledge of networking for us to
Correct.
be right.
Yeah. So it's a completely on the cloud itself. You don't need too heavy configurations model here. It's a one-click deployment that we are going to learn.
That's the AWS.
Correct.
So why is it a company prefer AWS than the Microsoft Azure?
It's a just in product. So AWS is the first company who introduced such a service into the market. And it has highest market shares as compared to the any other product like Microsoft Azure, Google, GCP, then Oracle, OCI, or in China, Alibaba.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's understand the takeaway. So till now we understand in this section what exactly the cloud computing is. So we understand it is what? It is like an on-demand, right? So it's a on-demand where you can use the virtualizations, right? You can use storages, you can use networking, database, and many tools that we can access, and also using pay as you go services. Now, cloud computing, it means what? It's like your infrastructure as a services. So when I say infrastructure as a services, it means I just gave the example about your e-commerce website where you can just use the infrastructure and then you can deploy the software and you can play around it. It means whenever you want, you can upgrade it, and whenever you want, you can degrade it as well. It's just in one click, right? So we also understand that there are three cloud services model, like an infrastructure as a services. We also understand what exactly the platform as a services and software as a services. So I can say this AWS is a completely mixture of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a services. And we also understand that what exactly the cloud, right? I mean to say what exactly the cloud deployment model, hybrid model, and on-premises model. And there will also, I'll show you just an example of your traditional and on-premises IT space. Okay. So as of now, I'm going to cover the basics only, right? So as I say that, I'll explain you everything from the scratch. So we may create the AWS trial account, might be tomorrow as well, or might be day after tomorrow. So hardly it will take 10 minutes to create an account, and then we can start practicing. But before we start using the AWS, we must need to understand why we are using this cloud computing product. What exactly the advantages we will get. So till now, I just explained what exactly these cloud is and type of cloud. And tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, I'll also explain you what exactly the advantage of cloud computing, right? So I'll stop 15 minutes early because on the day one, I don't want to give some heavy load, right? I just want to take this simple as much as possible. Okay, but tomorrow I'm also going to start about the advantage of cloud computing, how we will get benefits. So the main advantage of the cloud is that is capex turn into opex. So what exactly it means that I'm going to explain the tomorrow. Make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. That's CapEx
Yes.
means capital expenditures, while OpEx means operating expenditures.
Correct.
So will you be sharing the document for creating that Amazon account, or
Yeah, I'll
you
share it tomorrow. We will do it online.
tomorrow?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
online. We can do it online.
Okay.
You don't
Just
worry about
before
it.
you leave, sorry, if I may ask, so the only thing after you were done, I kind of got it because where I work, they have a server. Everything that happens in a building or in a company, it happens through a server. So what we're doing is we're just transferring everything to a cloud. Uh, but I know people from IT come and when you need to add something or fix an issue, they come and they fix the issue in the server, and the problem is solved. So as we're learning this, so we're gonna learn both to implement the system and also to maintain the system.
See, the main thing, as I say, that the cloud, it means what? So there is a two thing. One is the security in the cloud and security of the cloud. So the main problem here is going to resolve is that we don't need to manage any underlying hardware here, right? So you just say that they commit and they fix the server issue, but here that is managed by the AWS.
Okay.
So maximum time, we don't need to worry about any hardware things, any application thing, because that is the AWS part of responsibility. There are some customer responsibility, which also I'm going to explain that. So
Okay.
this cloud, that's the reason the cloud is more famous, because why? Because you don't need to, invest your time administrating the server, managing the server. Instead of that, you can focus on your application. That's the main thing. And in this course, I'm going to explain about how exactly you can use the services which is benefited for your organization. So once you understand this entire one, you are the one who can, or you are the resources who prove the ROI to the company.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, thank
Yep.
you.
Any other question, folks, you have in your mind? I'll keep it 10 minutes for the all the Q&A. Whatever the questions you have in your mind, please feel free to ask me. Whatever the questions, so that from tomorrow, any doubts, we can start more information on the advantage of the cloud. I understand this is a completely basic, but I feel this is very, very important before we start AWS product.
So I have a question like, okay, so we're not working at AWS or maybe even for Microsoft or any other company. So as someone who is using their services, what are the things or like what job duties you basically do, like in terms of like using the services or the applications or like the platform? Like any example, like if you're say, I don't know, working for some company XYZ.
Okay. So see, every organization, or let's say top 500 Fortune companies, they are heavily dependent upon the AWS. For an example, Netflix, or let's say any other streaming platform. Now they require lot of storage spaces, right? So it's in petabyte on hexabyte of data. Obviously, the organization, they don't want to invest this much of amount managing those hardware. So instead of that, what they can do is they can provide or they can use the product like an AWS so that you can save all their details on their server itself. For an example, Netflix. So in that Netflix, whenever you access, okay, whenever you let's say you watch any movie. So what exactly it is? It is a video on demand, VOD. So whenever I say VOD, it means what? Actually, whenever you open a Netflix, you are directly connected to the AWS. And AWS is so powerful that you can't feel any latency even though if you have a 2 or 3 Mbps internet connection. Why exactly the possible? Because of AWS spread across the entire world. And if you go any country, you will get a same benefit of the Netflix here. So all the storage part of the entire movies or storages, everything on the AWS here. So it is not only for the storages, but even though you can also create a virtual satellites, you can use the AI applications, AI building application. Then there are many services occurred, okay, which is help you for your organization to create that application, build the application, store the applications and everything. So whatever you can perform on premises, everything and more than that, or very cost effectively, you can perform the same thing on a AWS here. Make sense, Tushar?
Yeah, like no, I guess my question, so basically say like in here in Canada, say I'm here in West Coast. I'm working for TELUS, say suppose, and we are moving to AWS Cloud. So as like an engineer working for TELUS, what I am doing, I have access to the AWS Cloud. I am doing stuff on AWS Cloud, or I'm just giving my requirements to AWS and they are doing all the work for
No,
me.
no, no. It's your responsibility. They just provide you the product. Okay, they
Yeah,
just provide
that's
you
what
the
I was
console
talking about.
and everything is your responsibility. But whenever I say that managing the hardware, let's suppose you want to create a web server. So you say that, okay, your company say that, okay, what you can do, you can manage the entire website. So what about the scalability, about your application? Let's have availability, latency, let's manage it. So whenever you start working on the instance, the hardware part is taken care by the AWS only, right? The operating system part, right? That is taken care by the AWS. So you don't need to worry about any, let's say there is a issue with your hard disk failure. No, that is taken care by the AWS. So you will get an automatic failover so that you can focus on your job, not on managing the hardware. This is my point is.
Okay.
And there are some applications called serverless application where you don't need to manage any compute power. For an example, just a basic example, let's say you have some Python code. Now, to run that code, you need a one computer, you need one application to run the Python code. But in AWS, there is a service called the Lambda where you just need to provide the code and you will get the output. You don't need to worry about what server they are using, nothing. That is completely taken care by the AWS. Same thing for your notification, then messaging purpose, right? Everything is taken care by AWS here so that you can work on your areas only, not managing the infrastructure. Got it, Tushar? You got the answer?
Yes, I got it. I guess like it also depends on as a organization what kind of contract or what kind of thing they
Exactly.
have with
What kind of
AWS.
services that you want to
Services,
use?
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yes. Any other question, folks?
Quick question.
Yes, Shweta.
So you mentioned about Linux, right? Operating system. So why have you only specifically mentioned Linux? Like, what is the difference of the other operating systems which we use? Or is it Linux is anything specific which we use for any specific
So I
systems?
just use for the example purpose. In
Okay.
AWS, you can use the Microsoft, all
Okay.
flavor of Microsoft, all flavor of Linux, like an
Mhm.
Ubuntu, Red Hat, Amazon Linux. then SUSE operating system, even though you also have an option to use Debian operating system. So there is a more than 400s of AMI, Amazon Machine Images, that you can use, whether you want Microsoft Windows, Linux, Red Hat, SUSE, enterprise version, anything that you can use it.
Okay, sure.
Any other questions to Amir? Amir, thank you so much for the wonderful first session. That was a blast. I really loved it.
Thank you.
So thank you. That was fantastic. I know this is something which you naturally do. Thanks for breaking down in the most simplest terms, and folks were still hanging up till the end. So next session is tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. EST, and we'll be meeting every day till Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8 p.m. EST. All of these sessions are complimentary for you, and which will help you to take a strong decision to move into this career, right? So AWS Cloud Engineering continues to be a market leader. And if you need any questions, you want to always contact me. We'll be sending the recordings to all of your emails, guys. Just for the next 4 days, you will have to register for the Zoom meeting, right? You'll have to register it again and again just for the next 4 days. And this Saturday, Sunday, you will be actually signing up for the courses. And following next Monday, we will have a WhatsApp group, a team chat group, and you don't have to register anymore. Okay, so only for this week, you'll have to register. Okay, so. All right. Thank you so much for this wonderful session today, guys, and for coming in. And I'll see you all tomorrow. And have yourself a great night. Thank you. Good night, Amir. You also have a great
Thank
night
you.
there. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Have a great day. Enjoy evening, folks. Bye bye.
Sudesh, I have a question.